KY Studios this morning is Mr. Joey McCasiln. He is the Caldwell County Emergency Manager. How's it going today, sir?
Good morning, Ty. Good to see you.
It's good to see you.
A little bit concerned about what's going on in Washington, but I think everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have to calm down. And
I mean, when news folks, now granted, shooting a serious deal. If you haven't heard, there's been a shooting in Washington, D.C., and I think the minority whip, I believe, of Congress was hit. Majority whip, okay, was hit in the hip, and then several others, maybe some police officers.
Was on scene. There were several.
Several of them out there.
Getting ready for their softball game.
Yeah, they were going to have a softball game. So, if you're just tuning in, that has broken in from Washington, and we prayers and make sure everything's okay with that. Joey is here to talk about a couple of things, and we're going to hit on all kinds of emergency management topics as far as the county is concerned. One of the interesting ones, and this is one that you and Joey and I need to preface this by saying we're amateur radio operators. We're members of the Princeton Ham Radio Club, and usually each and every year there's different drills and exercises, and one of those they have every year is the Communication Interoperability Exercise, or COMEX. And this is a statewide operation that basically is a test to see how all the governmental, military agencies and civil agencies can communicate with each other, I guess, in case there is a crisis or any kind of situation that arises. And Princeton this year at the Fire Training Center is going to be one of the locations of some of the COMEX training. So I want you to give us an update of how that works and what's going on the next few days out at the Fire Training Center.
Okay. Of course, last year the COMEX in the western part of the state was in Owensboro, and
right.
Ty was able to go to that. We had,
yep.
I think, we had 6 or 7 people attended the 2 days over there. It's real good training. It's 2 days of training and showcases, and then they do a little drill at the end,
right.
A little communications exercise. And if you have any issues, they're there to try to help you get your issues straightened out with your communications equipment.
Right.
Well, this year they moved it to Area 2 State Fire Rescue Training out here on 62 West. COMEX is actually a 3-week exercise, but there's not something going on every day. Monday and Tuesday of this week, they were in Pike County in Pikeville, and they did the eastern end of the state. And then yesterday was a move day, and they will be arriving in here this afternoon, somewhere around the middle of the afternoon, and getting everything set up to have the training here for Thursday and Friday. I think the National Guard's bringing like 4 vehicles with trailers. The state police is bringing in their command posts. The KYEM is bringing in their command posts. No telling how many. There's probably going to be 15 or 20 different communications vehicles. We'll have our new one out there that's still not 100% complete, but we're still working on it.
And that's the Emergency Management Princeton Ham Radio
right.
Club trailer.
This was for several years they had an old ambulance that was a 1994 model that was taken out of service. It had 200,000 miles on
right.
it. And they converted it over to a communications vehicle. Well, you've got upkeep of engine, transmission, rear end, battery, eat batteries all the time because it's set most of the time. So we were able to obtain a grant last year, and we bought a bumper pull trailer, and we're converting it. It's a brand new trailer, but we're building it the way we want it, where we'll have our mobile communications, and that way we don't have to rely on an engine. If the vehicle that's going to be pulling it happens to be down, any pickup truck can hook onto it and pull it wherever it needs to go.
Right.
But there will be 8 different classes going on tomorrow. They've got 4 classes in the morning, and they repeat all 4 classes, where you could actually get 8 full hours of different training in communications. It's not only going to be ham radio, it's going to be public service radio, public emergency services radio, which is like your police, fire, EMS, hospitals, satellite phones. We've got a new thing out that's called WinLink in ham radio, where actually if the internet was down or you didn't have internet connection for some reason, you can actually get on a amateur radio, a 2-meter radio, and you can hop a couple of places. We tested ours about 3 months ago. We were able, from the EOC and the ambulance office out here behind Heaton's, we were able to connect all the way to Hallsville, Kentucky, which is on the Ohio River, and we connected with the EOC up there, and we were able to send out a email through the internet.
And that's over the air.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they could send that email back to us. It went to a regular email address.
Yeah.
There's also another system that they're working on that we don't have in this part of the country yet, but we're working in that direction. They have one that's for HF, for high frequencies. That's the HF, and when Ty and I talk about that in a little while, we'll talk about the different modes of communications. But HF, you can really talk around the world. The furthest contact I ever made was in Australia about a year and a half ago. I talked to a guy one night in Australia.
Yeah.
And
that's the magic of radio and amateur radio. You don't need a whole lot of power, or really the equipment you can do it with modest equipment as well.
But we'll probably have it was Monday. They said that we were over 140 registered for the comics out here that were pre-registered. Now, there'll be people that'll walk in, but we'll probably have between 150 and 200 people, if not for both days, at least for parts of it.
Yeah, and that's wonderful, because they have to come here and eat our restaurants and get a good view of Princeton. And so, and it's a great, as you mentioned, we were part of the training last year, and it's very educational for folks that have to do this either for a living or do it as a hobby.
Right.
Lots of fantastic information, and this is from military folks to government officials to the state police, emergency management from all around the state, and it's very informative. And that's for the next that's Thursday and Friday out here, correct?
Right.
Wow. Well, that's a fantastic deal. I think WPKY is going to be out there and at some point and be able to give the folks an idea of what's going on. And
if the general public wants to come out and look around and view it, they're more than welcome to come out.
And it's neat, folks, because there will be vehicles that are full of communications equipment, and they'll let you walk in if there's somebody in there and see how it all works. And it'll just be set up, and then at some point during the next 2 days, they will actually have a field exercise where they'll be doing some communications.
Right.
Yeah.
Friday, it's all classes on Thursday, and then Friday morning they will start having people set their particular vehicles up. They will be doing some checks to make sure everybody can communicate, and then after lunch they're planning on doing some type of little communications drill. And this exercises like this go on all the time in emergency management, and with fire, EMS, all of it. We're always training.
Always training.
But this is a lead up for our area, particularly because of the eclipse. We don't know how bad. Everybody knows how sparse the cell phone communications is out here on 91 South. They are bringing in, AT&T's bringing in a mobile cow, and Verizon is building a brand new tower out in that area, and they say it's going to be up and operational beforehand. But that's another thing we got. We got what they call a plum case. Again, we applied for a grant and received a grant to buy a plum case. What that plum case does, if you've got even just a half a bar of signal, this plum case will boost it to about 5 watts. And you've got Wi-Fi, you've got cell phone, and you can make a cell phone or a Wi-Fi call. Because, a lot of times you can get a text message and you can't get cell service. You can't make a call, but you can get a text message. And we've got one coming. The company is going to provide 3 or 4 for this area. We're going to spread them out in Christian County, Lyon County, and around to just another backup, redundancy. In communications and emergency services, you always talk about redundancy of services because you never know what's going to happen.
Got to have a backup. we talk about that here in commercial radio
Right.
too. Jordan and I always kid each other. He says, "Where you got that?" And I said, "Just in case something messes up, we got some other way." And Jordan's the same way. You just
Right.
always have a backup. Well, that's awesome. And let's talk about the perfect transition and segue into the Eclipse. And of course, you're basically leading the county's at least operations for communications and coordination with other entities. Give us an update on where you feel like we are with the Eclipse. Of course, I had the judge in here, Judge Ellen Dunning, Judge Executive Ellen Dunning last week, and it's sort of, we're messing with an unknown here, but we do know, just read a story about Hopkinsville sites are filling up. We
Right.
know we're going to get people into this area.
Right.
We just don't know exactly how many.
Yeah. What the emergency manager's job is, there's 120 of us. There's one in each county. And what our main job is, we're a coordinating agency. We're supposed to coordinate all the resources, and if a particular agency needs something in emergency services or for some type of disaster, we're supposed to be able to locate it through a resource list or up through the chain of command, get the resources that they need. So that's mainly what the EM does. We've been meeting since last November. Christian County's been meeting longer than that, but not a whole lot longer. But we started actually holding meetings in November. We're constantly having meetings, conference calls. Matter of fact, this morning I had 5 emails. At 6:30, I had 5 emails from Frankfort, additional questions, and questioned me about the eclipse for our county. As far as we have been told, there are no planned events inside of Caldwell County. But the main thing is Harold Riley's HR ministry, Soul Quest, which is just about 1.5 to 2 miles from the county line towards Hopkinsville. Our county is going to be more or less, the way I view it, as a conduit for people traveling in and out through there. Our main problem, I believe, could be traffic. If the roads start getting gridlocked or you get fender benders or major wrecks on the road out there, how are we going to handle it? Other counties are talking about changing traffic patterns, maybe only in one direction, or if there are one direction, they may change to both directions during the eclipse. We have no plans at this time in Caldwell County to change any traffic patterns. What we're going to do, State Fire Commission is sending in 4 additional firefighters that will be coming in probably on Friday afternoon and spend the weekend to help augment the Fredonia Fire Department and the Princeton Fire Department, because, Fredonia's part of this too.
Yeah.
We could have people down in that part of the county. Their fire department rescue squad is preparing just like our is here in Princeton. But we're going to set up a mobile command post out at Pleasant Grove Baptist Church. We'll have a communications trailer. We'll have stationed out there, tentatively what's planned right now is we'll have at least 1 ambulance, maybe a ranger with a rescue basket where if we can't get up and down the roads, maybe they can drive that through the ditches or get around. You'll have EMS, you'll have fire rescue, you'll have law enforcement, and like I said, you'll have a communications set up. We're not really going to fully staff out there probably till Monday morning, but we're going to set up probably on Thursday. Go on and start setting all that up just in case, because we can't be running here at the last minute trying to get out there and get set up, or if it really starts getting crazy around here with traffic patterns and people being stupid,
Right.
Try to get out there and set up. So we're going to probably set up on Thursday afternoon, but we won't really be staffing it till Monday morning.
As far as your assessment as to where we are, at least in this stage, of course, it's June 14th. We're 8 weeks out, roughly. What's your comfort level? Just to point it right at you. What's your comfort level of where we are at this point? And like I said, there's a lot of unknown, but what's your comfort level on everything?
On the Eclipse, I'm fine. On this Comex, I'm a little bit nervous this morning because it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I've got a whole bunch of things that still got to be done between now and then.
I won't keep you long.
That's fine. I can't get out there at 10 o'clock anyway. On the Eclipse, I really think it's like we're going to have an influx of people.
Yeah.
We're trying to encourage all the merchants to make sure that they're fully stocked their shelves, that they have plenty of bottled water, food, fuel for vehicles, and that the restaurants prepare for an influx of people coming into the community. So, but mainly, I think it's just going to be traffic is going to be our main problem, and they're working on that. We have another. I'll be glad when it's over with. We have another conference call next week. We're doing a full-blown tabletop exercise with FEMA.
Okay.
Federal Emergency Management is coming in to Kentucky Dam on the 12th of July, and they're bringing the 21 counties that are going to be affected by the eclipse. They're bringing them down there, inviting them, and they're going to do a tabletop exercise and throw different scenarios at the different counties to jog their thinking process to make sure that they can
kind of stump you, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get them to thinking out of the box and see what they can do. And we've got that going on every other Friday. We have to send up to Frankfort to the Kentucky Emergency Management. We send up an update, even if we don't have any changes to our plan. We still get on there and no additional changes at this time, or if we have additional requests. But I think it's going to be okay. I think it may be a little hairy at times, but I really think overall, unless it just really gets bad, the Kentucky Board of Emergency Medical Services, KBEAM, that's over the ambulance services, they are going to have a strike team stationed probably in Ohio County. It may move a little bit closer, but they're bringing in a strike team from the eastern part of the state. They'll have additional ambulances. ComCare, who is our private provider for our ambulance service here, county has 5 ambulances. They're bringing in 1 or 2 more ambulances. Airback is going to move a helicopter from, I was told originally, and of course these plans are all subject to change right up to the day of it, but they were going to bring the helicopter from Mayfield, that's stationed at Mayfield. They're going to bring it to Caldwell County Hospital, and they will be out there for the weekend. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to stay there the whole time, because they may have to make runs, but they're going to bring the Mayfield chopper in closer, and then they're going to bring a chopper from out in West Plains, Missouri, where their home base is. They're going to bring another chopper into the Mayfield area. So there'll be a helicopter available in Hopkinsville, Marion, and Princeton. Mayfield will be the closest one. Then you've got one in Evansville, and you've got a couple of different services down in Nashville, plus you've got PHI still has a chopper in Muhlenberg County. So they are, everybody's working on this. There's not a whole lot that is really getting out. Unless you're in emergency services, you really don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. But
a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff.
We're not sitting around
not doing
trying
anything.
To get ready for it.
That makes me feel good, and hopefully it does the listening audience that's out there. Let's shift our gears to something else. We're talking about communications. And we have, and us being old amateur operators, we have ARRL Field Day coming up.
Correct.
And that is an annual event that is held usually the last weekend in June. I think this year's the 24th of June. And we, annually participate. This is something that goes on all over the world, really, definitely all over the country. But the American Radio Relay League is basically I call it a lobby organization, but it is the watchdog for amateur radio. The band here in the United States is based out of Newington, Connecticut, and they have a membership, and but they also put on this field day each and every year, and that's when amateur radio folks gather somewhere, normally in a public spot, and they go without commercial power. Normally, that's what they want you to do, and test your ability to get on the air in a quick way, in a way without commercial power. And we always have fun doing that.
Right.
And that is coming up. And we plan on being at City County Park. That's where we normally are, and I believe that'll work out. I know Cheney's run is that day, but I've talked with Steve Kukihiko. He thinks he can accommodate both groups. And we want to encourage people to come out and see what we do for Field Day as well, don't we?
Yes. This Field Day, like he said, it's all across the country. Different ham clubs participate. You even have some individuals that participate
Right.
that aren't a member of a ham club. They try to see how many communications contacts they can make by amateur radio. Like he said, you have to use either a generator, battery, or solar. And if you use solar, you get an extra 100 points.
And we
And
got to do that
year-
last year, yeah.
Last year we had our first solar panel, so we made some contacts
Yeah.
using solar power. But it's just a fun way to do it. And another thing, you can't go out there and set everything up in advance. You have to, at 10 o'clock you can start setting up.
Yeah, there's a time period that you have. I think it's 10 o'clock in
Yeah.
the morning, and you have to,
You can't start operating
till
until
1.
Till 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then it runs for 24 hours. Years ago, there was several of us that used to stay overnight. It's gotten to where now we're all getting older.
Yeah, we take naps. Yeah.
And it's, and we've lost some members. We've had some members pass on. We've lost 3 members within the last year, and that's one of them was fairly young. 2 of them were older, but they're sorely missed because they were active in the club.
And when you're a small club,
Yeah.
you lose members, and it's tough.
We've got I think there's about 30 people on the roster, somewhere in that neighborhood, but there's not that many, but about maybe 9 or 10 that are active, and all of them are in Caldwell County. We've got them in down around Aurora. We've got them in Lyon County. We've got them in
Trigg County.
Trigg County, Crittenden County, Hopkins County.
Yeah.
Of course, Hopkins County has a big club over there
Right.
also.
But, folks, we encourage you because if you want more information about this, you can go to arrl.org and just type in Field Day there. But we also have a local website that the local ham radio club has, and that's w4kbl.org. We encourage you to go there, but we also invite you out, and we'll probably have more information on this as the event gets a little closer to the park, and just you're welcome to come out and see how we do things. We'll even put you on the air. As long as there's a control operator there, you can learn about amateur radio, the different modes of communication, the different bands. There's digital communications. Some of it has to do, you get on the air with a computer. Some of us work CW, which is Morse code, and it's a lot of fun, and you'll get to see how maybe some folks that aren't in any kind of government agencies just do this as a hobby can get the word out to folks, because when all else fails, all you got is amateur radio.
I'd like to put a little plug in. I actually got bit by the radio bug back in the 60s when I was a Boy Scout. Bill Morgan was my scoutmaster, and he had all these radios up there.
Yeah, that had to be neat. That'd
And
make
it
your
was,
eyes light up.
Your eyes light up and everything. I didn't actually get my license. I got my first license about 75. Merlin Osabrook
One of our current members.
was working at the hospital, and he got me interested in it again, and we got to studying John Morse, Neil Dunbar,
Jimmy
Linton out there, Chief. There was a whole bunch of them. Dr. Barnes' old office. They had opened that up. John owned that, so they opened it up and started a classroom back there. And there were several of us went down there, and we studied and studied. Back then, in the 70s, you had to take a Morse code. You had to be able to do 5 words a minute.
You had
Morse
that.
code.
You did and I got mine too.
And then Bill Call from Murray, Callaway County, down at Murray State, came up and actually gave us the code test.
Yeah.
And used to, you couldn't just take the written test. Here, you had to go to a federal post office, either in Nashville
Right.
or Evansville.
Or an FCC office if there was
Right,
one
you
there.
had to go to the FCC office. But they've made it a whole lot easier. There's no code anymore.
Right.
There's a 35-question test for the technician level, which gets you on 2 meters. And if we need some new blood in the club.
Yeah.
I know kids are all tied up with their little iPhones and their little iPads and everything. But like I was talking earlier about the WinLink, there are ways that you can do email and stuff over the internet through your ham radio. And there is another thing in ham radio is called Echo Link, where you could. I forgot about
Through
that.
the phone.
I did talk to somebody through Echo Link one time over in the south east, in the eastern. Oh, one of our hams moved over there years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I did contact him on Echo Link one night, but that was through the internet, so I don't really count that as a radio contact.
I work a lot of PSK 31, and it is over the air. It's a digital mode, and I routinely on 5 watts have worked into Europe. I've talked to Russians, and it's like a message board.
Yeah.
It's just like if you know what a message board
You're
is.
not talking to the Russians, are you?
No, I'm not. No, I hope not. I mean, I have not communicated with any Russians lately, except in the friendly radio realm of amateur radio. But but that's another neat mode. But we want to encourage you as we're talking about communications, and we can use this eclipse to make people aware. If you're interested, if you're homesteaders, if you're preppers out there, amateur radio is a vital part, or could be a vital part of any kind of whether you're a hobbyist or planning for a future emergency. We live on one of the largest, seismic zones, fault lines in this country, and at some point, that's when amateur radio and operators will have to be used.
2009, when the ice storm hit, the first contact we made with Frankfurt was through ham radio.
Yep.
We pulled the communications vehicle out, we fired up the HF, and we were able to communicate with the state EOC in Frankfurt.
We got to give Raymond a plug on that, too.
Yes.
Yeah, Raymond Janina.
Raymond has really been helpful. And also Raymond Janina, he has gone through and developed a little study sheet, and he holds classes every once in a while if he gets some that are interested in getting their technician where they can study. And then our ham radio club now, they have what they call VE testing, which they will test you here locally. It costs $15 to take your test.
Yep.
But every third Saturday at the ambulance office, we have a testing
site. Session, yep.
And sometimes we get people, sometimes we don't. But we always go out there the third Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Drink coffee.
Drink coffee, sit around, get on the radio, because we've got a radio
we got a station out there. Yep.
And spend about an hour. If nobody shows up, we go home, go on our way, do whatever we want to.
Yeah.
But I would encourage anybody that's interested in ham radio to contact one of us. We also meet at Hardee's.
On Tuesdays.
For, I don't know, 15 years plus.
Maybe more, yeah.
It may, like you said, maybe more. They always had what they call meet and greet at Hardee's on Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
Well, now it's gotten to where they get out there about 10:30. Sometimes we'll have 5 or 6. Sometimes we'll have 25.
Yeah.
And it's just been a Wiley Jones,
There's another one. Yeah.
old ham radio operator. Richard Jones's brother grew up here and lived here for years, and then he, with his job, he moved to Madisonville, but he would drive over here every Tuesday, and when he got in a little bit worse health, his wife would bring him over here, but he always made Hardee's on Tuesday.
Yep. And a lot of guys out there, and a lot of things you learn. It's usually somebody with some radios or a computer, and they're downloading something, they're doing whatever. But Joey, can't thank you enough for your efforts, and I know it's a lot of work what you do for our county, but we thank you more than anything, because that's a tough job to coordinate all this and manage all this. And I know when Judge Dunning was here, she said that you were on it, and I know in our conversations, I know you're on it, and I think our citizens can be confident that there might be some inconveniences. We really don't know what's going to happen, but you all are working behind the scenes to keep everything functioning, and we're in good shape.
And see, we've also, we can't just focus all our attention on the eclipse. We still have the day-to-day fires.
Sure.
People get sick. People have
Wrecks.
wrecks that aren't, you still have your routine day stuff, so we can't just disregard that. You just have to plan for the additional resources that you may need.
Yeah. Well, can't thank you enough. I know you got to get out for ComEx, and folks, if you want to check out ComEx, it's going to be out at the Fire Training Center the next couple of days, and probably you're welcome to go out and walk around and see some of the trailers and some of the folks that are set up out there, and do check that out. And of course, W4KBL.org if you're interested in ham radio, especially locally, or the ARRL.org. Just Google that if you're interested in amateur radio, and you're welcome to contact Joey or myself. If you're interested in testing or learning more about amateur radio, 963-0704 is Joey's number. He'd be glad to talk to you about amateur radio, or my number, 963-1132, and we'll be glad to point you in the right direction as far as amateur radio is concerned. So thank you for being here, Joey.
One point.
Yes, sir.
If you call my cell phone and I don't answer it, please leave me a message.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting so many calls now on stuff that don't pertain to it that I'm starting to sort of try to screen my calls.
Okay. Well, he's probably gonna get me for giving that one out. But.
No, I'm not. I always give mine out.
But
I always give mine out. But I'm just saying, if I don't
leave
answer,
a message.
Leave me a message.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for being here. Appreciate what you do for us here in the county. It is 9:01. You've been listening to our Thursday morning show here on WPKY The Tiger. I think we're going to start calling it Tiger Talk. That's what's been in the works, so I'll just dub it Tiger Talk today, and we'll kind of go from there. So Joey McCasiln, he is our emergency management manager here in Caldwell County. We thank him for being here, and, of course, Joni Phelps earlier as well. You're listening to WPKY The Tiger. It is 9:01.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen.
Everybody thought it sounded like a gun, and then boom, rapid succession after that.
Senator Jeff Flake describing the moment's gunfire